buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to demolish the top 10 Bitcoin objections faster than you can say blockchain. Let's dive right in and shatter these misconceptions one by one. Oh, Bitcoin is a scam, is it? Really? Let's dive into that claim for a moment. You know what else sounded like a scam? The internet? Online shopping? People thought it was a joke. Democracy? Probably at some point. Revolutionary ideas often face skepticism. Look, Bitcoin is an open-source, decentralized digital currency with a transparent ledger. It's a new kind of financial system. It's right there, in the open for anyone to see. Every transaction is recorded and visible. That's not how scams work, my friends. Scams are hidden, secretive. Scams happen in the dark. They thrive on secrecy and deception. They involve hidden fees, shady backroom deals, and that one weird uncle you only see at family reunions. You know the type. Bitcoin's code? Publicly available for anyone to examine. It's open for scrutiny. It's been running for over a decade, withstanding countless attempts to hack or manipulate it. That's a testament to its security. That's not a scam. That's resilience. It's built to last. And yet, some people still cling to this scam narrative. They refuse to see the bigger picture. It's almost cute in a way, like watching someone try to argue the earth is flat, like a puppy trying to chase a car that's already 10 miles down the road. It's futile. But seriously, folks, let's be adults here. Do your research, read the white paper, educate yourselves. Understand what Bitcoin is before you go around parroting tired old tropes. Knowledge is power, after all. And then there's the Ponzi scheme argument, a classic in the repertoire of the financially uninformed. It's the go-to accusation for those who haven't done their homework. It's like the "your shoes are untied" of the financial world. A tired old trick that somehow, someway, people still fall for. Look, I get it. The financial world can be confusing and it's easy to latch onto familiar terms. The word Ponzi sounds scary. It brings to mind images of deceit and financial ruin. It conjures up images of shady businessmen in ill-fitting suits, disappearing with suitcases full of cash. It's a narrative straight out of a crime thriller. But here's the thing. Throwing around the term Ponzi scheme doesn't make you sound smart. It just shows a lack of understanding. Ponzi schemes require a few key ingredients. It's not just about taking money, it's about creating an illusion. First, you need a central operator, a charismatic leader promising the moon and the stars, someone who can convince people to part with their hard-earned money. Bitcoin has no central authority. It's decentralized, meaning no single person or entity is in control. It's like the internet of money. Nobody's in charge and everyone has a say. It's a collective effort, not a top-down scheme. Second, Ponzi schemes promise guaranteed returns. They lure people in with the promise of easy money. Bitcoin makes no such promises. Its value is volatile and can fluctuate wildly. So, the next time someone tries to tell you Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme, just smile politely and hand them a dictionary. Educate them on what a Ponzi scheme truly is and how Bitcoin operates. The intrinsic value argument. This one never fails to make me want to bang my head against a keyboard until a coherent response emerges. But Bitcoin isn't backed by anything, they cry, as if their precious dollars are printed on bars of gold mined by leprechauns riding unicorns. Newsflash, folks, neither is the dollar in your pocket, or the euro, or the yen. Fiat currencies derive their value from government decree and the collective belief that they'll continue to be accepted as payment. Bitcoin's value, on the other hand, comes from its utility as a censorship-resistant, borderless payment system and a scarce digital asset. Its intrinsic value lies in its network effect, security, and the trust placed in its protocol by millions of users worldwide. Saying Bitcoin has no intrinsic value is like saying the internet has no intrinsic value because you can't hold it in your hand. Okay, this one I'll give you. Yes, Bitcoin's price can be volatile. It's like a roller coaster ride designed by a caffeinated squirrel. You never know which way it's going to go next. But you know what? Volatility doesn't negate value. In fact, it can create opportunities for those brave enough to ride the waves. Look at early tech stocks. Amazon, Apple, Google. They were all considered volatile in their early days. People were skeptical, unsure if these newfangled tech companies were here to stay. And yet those who recognized the potential and held on tight, well, let's just say they're probably sipping margaritas on a beach somewhere. As Bitcoin matures and adoption increases, we're likely to see decreased volatility. Plus, for users in countries with unstable currencies, Bitcoin's volatility is often preferable to the guaranteed loss of value through inflation. It's like choosing between a roller coaster and a sinking ship. This myth is so outdated it's practically wearing a powdered wig and breeches. Bitcoin is only used by criminals. Oh, really? So the millions of people around the world using it for legitimate transactions are just figments of my imagination? Got it. Look, while it's true that Bitcoin has been used for illicit activities like literally every other form of currency in human history, let's not pretend that cash is somehow the squeaky clean alternative here. In fact, blockchain's transparency makes it a terrible choice for criminals. Every transaction is recorded on the public ledger, which is about as subtle as a glitter bomb in a library. Major financial institutions and publicly traded companies now hold Bitcoin, proving its legitimacy in the mainstream financial world. Let's talk about the environment, shall we? Because apparently Bitcoin is single-handedly destroying the planet, one transaction at a time. Never mind the fact that the traditional financial system, with its energy-guzzling data centers, international flights for executives who could just as easily video conference, and mountains of paper waste, makes Bitcoin look like a solar-powered pocket calculator in comparison. Bitcoin's energy use is a feature, not a bug. It secures the network and incentivizes the use of cheap, often renewable energy sources. Miners are constantly looking for the cheapest energy, which often leads them to places with surplus renewable energy. Moreover, Bitcoin mining can actually stabilize power grids and make renewable energy more profitable. So, the next time someone tries to tell you Bitcoin is an environmental disaster, just point them to the nearest bank with its air conditioning blasting and its lights on all night. Here's a fun fact for you: Bitcoin's network has never been hacked. Not once, not ever. It's like trying to break into Fort Knox armed with a spork and a dream. Sure, individual wallets or exchanges might be compromised due to user error, like forgetting your password or leaving your computer open in a public library, but the Bitcoin protocol itself remains secure. Its decentralized nature and proof-of-work consensus mechanism make it one of the most secure networks in existence. It's like trying to fight a hydra. Every time you cut off one head, two more grow back. So, unless you happen to have a supercomputer capable of cracking the SHA-256 cryptographic hash function, Bitcoin is about as secure as it gets. Ah yes, the government. The all-powerful, all-knowing entity that can barely keep its own websites running without crashing. Governments have been trying to regulate or restrict Bitcoin for years. They've held hearings, written strongly worded letters, and maybe even shaken their fists at the sky a few times. And yet Bitcoin continues to thrive. It's like a cockroach in a nuclear apocalypse. It just refuses to die. Why? Because you can't shut down a decentralized network. It's like trying to ban the internet. You might be able to block it in certain places, but it'll always find a way to route around your firewalls. As long as there's internet somewhere in the world, Bitcoin will survive. Bitcoin is too complicated for mass adoption. Oh, the irony. People said the same thing about the stock market when it first became accessible to the general public. It's like saying the internet is too complicated because you have to remember your email password. Look, I get it. The initial learning curve can be steep, but it's not insurmountable. Bitcoin can seem intimidating at first. The jargon, the technology, the newness of it all can be overwhelming. There's blockchain technology, cryptographic keys, and a whole new vocabulary to learn. But remember, every new technology comes with its own set of challenges. It's like trying to understand the plot of a Christopher Nolan film after a bottle of wine, confusing, disorienting, and you're not entirely sure what's real anymore. But just like with movies, the more you engage, the more you understand. But here's the thing, Bitcoin's user experience is improving rapidly. Developers are constantly working on making it more accessible and easier to use. With user-friendly wallets and interfaces, buying and using Bitcoin is becoming as easy as using any mobile banking app. The barriers to entry are lowering every day. Remember when people said the internet was too complicated? It was a new frontier, just like Bitcoin is now. Now your grandma's on Facebook arguing with strangers about cat videos. The internet became second nature to us, and so will Bitcoin. Mass adoption isn't a question of if, but when. The more people get comfortable with the technology, the faster it will happen. As more people realize the benefits of a decentralized, censorship-resistant currency, the demand for user-friendly solutions will only grow. The future is bright for Bitcoin, and it's only a matter of time before it becomes a part of our everyday lives. If Bitcoin is a fad, it's the longest-running fad in the history of technology. We're talking pet rocks, bell-bottoms, and the Macarena combined. Bitcoin has outlasted them all. After over a decade of growth, increasing institutional adoption, and integration into mainstream finance, Bitcoin has proven its staying power. It's not just surviving, it's thriving. Remember when people said the internet was just a fad, that it was a passing fancy for nerds and academics? Well, look who's laughing now. Bitcoin is following a similar trajectory. It's moving from the fringes of the internet to the mainstream, and it's not slowing down. The world is changing. We're moving towards a more decentralized future, where power is distributed and control is elusive. There you have it. 10 common Bitcoin objections, utterly demolished, reduced to rubble, ground into a fine powder and scattered to the digital winds. The evidence is clear. Bitcoin isn't just the future of money, it's rapidly becoming the present. The train is leaving the station and frankly it's picking up steam. Are you on board?